are you doing?
Bubba built it.
Well, I'm going to charge the air on this beast.
Sweet. Sweet. So first thing we got to do is pull a vacuum.
Yeah, correct. So you want to pull a vacuum because it evacuates all the moisture out of the system and also prepares it to go ahead and pull the refrigerant all the way through the system. And this has got the rear air still, which is why I'm having to charge it, because the air was fine, but we had to shorten this chassis. And when I did that, I had to shorten the main line going back to the rear air unit. So
why don't we take a look and see what you're talking about there?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So we come back in here. By the way, this is the Bronco.
Yep, the Bronco.
And take a quick sidebar here. Hold that.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to our website, or actually, tell you what, I'll put the description, the link in the description where you can go and you can get this sweet shirt. We've got a couple of other renderings that you might check out as well.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't quite decided on which one we're going with yet, but we've got the shirts there. Check it out.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, gratuitous plug there. And so this is a 79 Bronco.
Mm-hmm.
We are obviously wide bodying it, and
yeah,
it's on a 2004 Lincoln Navigator.
Lincoln Navigator is one of the most underappreciated, amazing chassis that were produced by Ford Motor Company. And 03, they revamped that chassis. You might be familiar with when the Navigator came out in '98. But in 03, they revamped it, and it shares the same chassis with the Expedition. But the Navigator is special because it has the 4-cam version of the 5.4. So it's a really tough cast iron 5.4 block with a 4-cam heads on it. And it really makes some great power and hustles that 6,000-pound beast around. And I'd owned one some years back, and I was very impressed with it. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool to have one of these that's lightweight? And the other thing about it, I don't want to go too far into that, but aluminum control arm, rear independent suspension. It's got a 9 3/4 inch rear end, and the Navigator again is a 373 limited slip, 9 3/4 inch. I mean, we're talking some beefy equipment here. The frame rails are hydroform steel, fully boxed. I mean, it checks all the great boxes on what you want on a chassis. And when you couple that with the great nostalgia of the old 79 Bronco, you have something that is, man, it's just a great package. And we own several of these Broncos and owned others through the years. And hey, look, I love them, but they can be a bit of a PI gut to drive around. We had one with 456 gears and a 460 in it, and yeah, it would climb a tree or pull a house down, but it was not something you wanted to drive to drive down the interstate.
No, absolutely not. And as we've already alluded to, the Navigator is a bit longer than the 79 Bronco is longer than the Navigator. Sorry, getting it all mixed up.
No,
there.
you had to scratch that, reverse it.
Scratch that, reverse it.
Right. You said the 79 Bronco is longer than the Navigator, but it's actually the Navigator is much longer.
Yes, dang it. Oh, you had it right the first
time. You had it right.
All right.
And matter of fact, it's 15.5 inches longer, which is significant.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. Well, we've already got carpet in here, and we kind of covered that up.
Yeah,
so, but anyway, we cut it and put the frame back together right about here-ish.
Yeah, right.
Somewhere in there. And then, as Michael was saying, the rear air conditioning system actually works.
So we thought, why undo a good thing?
Yeah,
we're trying to incorporate as much of this as we can into this build. And we'll do a whole series on this build. But just the other thing is, if you ever have to shorten a hardline, we bought this really cool kit off Amazon. I think it was $20. But it's this, and we'll probably flash up a picture for you to see what it was. But it's this aluminum lug with two screw ends, and you got brass ferrules and silicone bushings. And man, it worked great to allow us to couple that aluminum hardline back together after we'd shortened this chassis. So now we're charging the air.
Yeah, awesome. So let's get to work on that.
Yeah.
First thing,
so the first thing to do is we're going to pull a vacuum on it. I'm going to go get this. Another reason you do this is because if it doesn't hold the vacuum, then you know you've got a leak. So we're going to let that run for about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Awesome. we've pulled the vacuum, and now we're going to go ahead and hook up the Freon.
Right. So first thing I do is crank it up so it can be pulling the Freon. So we're
Right.
cranking it up.
So the compressor will kick on and do its job.
And of course, it won't kick on until we start. Uh-oh. Can you give me an assist there?
Yeah.
Twist the,
Try it now.
there we go.
Man, it sounds good.
Do what?
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Of course, it's just open exhaust.
Yeah. I think it might need power steering fluid. That might be what we're hearing there too on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so you're opening the valve on the can first, and now we're going to open the valve here. There it goes. You're supposed to see the Freon moving.
Oops. For some reason, it was leaking out of here. Leaking. No, we got to back up front on this. Well, before we go get David, let me just try to.
And I just want to say, this is not something we normally do, so we're not really sure exactly what we're doing, but we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out. What I don't want to do is waste the damn can of Freon. Okay, you're right back.
Yep.
That's off.
Valve is closed.
Now we're time for can
And
number.
these are self-sealing cans, right? So you could take that thing back off, and it seals it, right?
No.
Some of them are. No,
I don't know.
no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, to your
No.
point, it kind of does look like a. It kind of looks like a paint. Maybe it does have a paint
it
valve.
does. Look, self-sealed can.
You know what? You just taught me something I've never learned. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so cool. You can, if it doesn't take the whole can, you're
Now
not wasting
you have to
it.
tell me, how did you know about that? Because I didn't know about that.
I read the can. I'm a super genius. Oh,
Okay.
you've already got it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. She's going.
We're gonna be rolling cool.
Yeah, man. That's awesome sauce. Looking forward to taking this on Power Tour next year.
Heck, man, what about Ford Fest this year?
Oh, Ford Fest this year?
Oh yeah, we can do it.
Oh,
Look at this thing.
Oh.
Is the air cool?
It's cooler.
Hmm.
It's cooler.
Okay. Is the compressor? I guess the compressor is kicking on.
It doesn't have a separate. It's just a separate fan and controls for that rear, right? There's not a separate compressor for it.
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, it should be doing something at the 3 cans.
Yeah.
It's on.
Oh, you know what? Hang on. No,
The condenser is warm.
Seems like it should be blowing harder than this out these vents. I mean, it's all the way up.
I know. I see that. It's blowing up here. Oh, one of the problems is the temperature.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, feel that.
You'll have to excuse my friend here.
Well, it defaults.
There it goes. Yeah, yeah. That's
Okay, now
definitely better.
To your point, though, we may have a vacuum line that's not attached because it's blowing up here. Feel it?
Ah, okay. So that blend door is not working like it should.
Yeah, maybe so.
All right. What about our rear air?
Okay, so
Let's turn it on. Oh, I heard something. Oh yeah. That's
is
nice.
it?
That's nice. It's just a blowing.
All right, well, let's put that fourth can in.
All right. That's off.
Okay, our self-seal can. Backing off the. I did that just in case it needed a little more airflow. We don't have a shroud on it.
Right.
The the condenser felt kind of. I always get confused which one's the condenser, which one's the evaporator. Can you remind me?
No, I can't.
Okay, well,
I can't remember either.
The evaporator / condenser, or whichever one it actually is in the front here, was pretty warm.
Yeah.
Which means it's doing its job, but I was just want to flow some more air across it.
Okay, I think that's the condenser.
Okay, look. The reason I don't think it's the condenser is because when the air is on, water definitely condenses on the inside. So I'm going to say that's the evaporator. Now,
Because that can happen on the residential units too.
Huh?
That happens on the residential units too.
Right.
The condenser's outside on residential.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you're right then. Then that's the condenser.
Yeah. Yeah, a coil evaporator's inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So your residential helped us figure that one out.
All right.
So yes, that's the condenser then. The condenser was rather warm. Well, she's sucking this can down fast too, so it's going to take 4 full cans for sure.
Yeah. We bought 7.
We bought 5 for us and 2 for Drew.
Oh, 2 for Drew.
Mm-hmm. Now the pressure.
Look at that condensation there.
Yeah, the pressure's gone up. No, that's not the same as it was.
Where do we want our pressure to be?
You said 45, which we're at 55 or 50, 54. Which that's still in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. All right. I'm saying it sucked that down now. It feels empty. Doesn't it feel empty to you? I don't feel tardy.
Yeah, I think it's empty. All right, so I think we're blowing nice and cold now, which is awesome. The only thing is the air's not blowing out of the front vents as very well. It's blowing out more up here, the defrost, and that's probably just because of vacuum line, right?
Yeah.
No big deal.
There's 2 vacuum systems on this. One is operates the front hubs, and actually, well, okay, there's actually 3 different sets of lines going around in there, and it makes it a little bit difficult because there was the old air ride system that it had, which was removed.
Right.
Then there's the vacuum system that runs the front hubs for the all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and then last but not least, whatever other vacuum that the engine needs, as far as the EGR and the ventilation system for the tank. So 1 or 2 of those lines has probably gotten a little bit compromised.
Yeah, and that's not uncommon.
No.
The cool thing though is literally the rear air is blowing very nicely.
Like a madman. We're going to be this is going to be so comfortable.
So comfortable. It's going to be like riding on a cruise ship. But anyway, this, of course, we'll just need to work out some sort of ductwork. We've talked about just doing one thing right here that just blows.
I think so, because what it had, was it had this
very elaborate
up
system
into the headliner. Of course, this is all going to be removable Bronco top. So
which is over here. You can see it under the wagon. There it is.
Yeah. So, and also this thing, as far as volume is concerned, it's a third smaller than the Navigator. So this thing is just
should be.
It really doesn't even need a rear air, but it was already there. So we're like, why take it out?
Yeah, why take it out?
Plus, we're reusing all these back panels back here anyway, and the power folding rear seats. And all that, all that cool stuff.
Power folding rear seats on a '79 Bronco.
79 Bronco.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this thing is going to be an awesome trail rig, track rig, towing rig. I mean, heck, this thing will do it all.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. So to do the ending for this,
Okay.
Should we kind of do a recap on how we did this? Like, okay, so to make this work, you get your gauge set. You go ahead and pull a vacuum on the low side. Then while you're hooked up to the low side, you get your cans. We don't need to do all that. We already said all that, didn't we? Or did we?
I don't know. We're saying it now.
Oh, wait a minute. You're filming this? I thought we were,
Yeah.
I thought we were actually just talking about what we were going to say.
No, this is
Okay,
all
yeah,
good.
so
I mean, you're saying it.
all right. So yeah, so that's the thing that I always been confused about. Say it makes sense though that you want to put it on the low side, right? Because that's where it's going to pull from. And so of course you have to have it running. One of the things that we didn't have was the fan wasn't hooked up on there, so we hooked the fan up quickly. And because you got to have, so there's several, the system has to be working for it to pull the refrigerant in. But anyway, you hook your gauge set up on the low side. Once you pull a vacuum, and again, you pull the vacuum so that you're pulling all the contaminants, all the moisture out of the system, and also you're making sure that it is a sealed system, which we already did. It held the vacuum for 24 hours. And then we put our 4 cans of refrigerant in the low side as well. And as Lee pointed out, those are self-sealing cans, which I think that might be kind of a new thing because I hadn't seen that before. All the ones I've seen, they pierce and then they're done. But of course, then that's the old kind where you used to have the thing where you pierce the side of the can. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, so we are now charged and we are blowing cool. And if you ever wanted, this is pretty much universal. All the systems are the same this way. We had to use 4 cans because of the rear air. Takes probably at least an extra can. Most systems are going to use 2 to 3 cans. So
yeah. And we had to evacuate it again because we had to shorten the Lincoln to accept the 79 Bronco. I got it right that time.
You did.
And
That's right.
Michael came across this really cool fitting that can just seal up that line without any heartache.
Because we were thinking, oh man, even just to seal off the rear air from the rest of the system was going to be having to buy these plugs that fit in. They're like, why don't we just keep it?
Yeah.
And it turned out that little fitting works great. It was a great repair. I do recommend that you use a tubing cutter like we did to cut the tubing so you have a very clean cut. And those can be purchased for $10 anywhere. Yeah. But yeah, so use the tubing cutter, cut that aluminum, and we'll just say that little coupler it's a lifesaver. It made it where all this was possible. So as far as the air conditioning is concerned. So
yeah. Well, I guess that's going to do it for this video. If you guys have got any suggestions, those of you that work on AC systems on a regular basis,
not rank amateurs like us,
please give us some pointers in those comments. And if you haven't done so, subscribe and hit that notifications button. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.